Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about songwriting in particular, how if you get too attached to one song in particular, it's going to impede your progress as a musician. Now, I recently came out with an album called Decisions in Another Language, and it's an album that I worked on for a long time, about nearly 2 years, right? Which for me is a very long time to be working on one singular project. And there's a song on it called Communication, which I did work on for 2 years. My first demo of it I recorded in February 2023, and I kind of kept recording more and more demos, and I'd record a demo, listen to it, go, oh, I don't quite like the guitar solo there, or oh, I need to add a new little B section here, or oh, I need to add some synths here, or oh, this bit actually needs to come into this bit, or oh, actually no, I need to restructure the entire thing. And I was just taking the same puzzle pieces and rearranging them time and time again, and looking at this picture and going, why doesn't it look cohesive? And I feel like if you do that and you get too attached to one song, it's going to get in the way of your progress as a musician, because you need to try and record as many songs as possible in order to learn and develop as a, creative. The only way that you're going to get better is by doing. And if you just get stuck in one thing in particular, you're not really doing anything new. You're just recording the same thing again and again and again and again. And you're going to end up looking at it and just kind of going, yeah, it's all right, I guess. And then that's it. And then now, what do you do with this? You've spent so long on it that it's risen in your mind as being this really big thing, and your vision is just this far away thing that you can never quite get to. You're always trying, you're always leaping for this vision each time you record a demo, and you never quite get there. And you're getting a little bit frustrated with yourself, like, why can't I get there? Am I not a good enough musician? Am I bad at playing the guitar? Am I bad at mixing or whatever? And it's like, yeah, I know I'm not a perfect mixer. I know I'm not great at playing the guitar. I know I'm not great at all these various things. But sometimes it all comes together and it manifests into something really interesting, because it's capturing lightning in a bottle. And you're sat in this giant monsoon with lightning going on all over the place with this big can of Coke, and you're trying to capture all this lightning in this bottle because it's made of metal, right? So you're trying to capture all this lightning. And if you're spending too long on one song, you're sat in the exact same place after the lightning struck, waiting for it to strike again. And they always say that lightning never strikes twice in the same place. So you're going to be sat there for a long time. I know technically it can strike in the same place twice. That's a myth, but generally it's not going to, more than likely. It's a sort of thing like, if you are trying to find someone in a shop, right? You went shopping with someone and you're in the supermarket, and then you kind of got lost from one another. If you're both wandering around trying to find each other, you're probably not going to find each other, compared to if one of you just stays there and the other one does the searching, you're more likely to be found. So in terms of this metaphor, I feel like what you should be doing, instead of perfecting this one song and trying to get it to this one spot where you're finally happy with it, just accept that this is what the song is, this is the song, this is the finished product, and you're only going to just make the finished product again and again and again, because this is what it is. It's not going to be anything that it isn't, because this is what it is. So you need to make it and move on, okay? You need to move on to greener pastures, you need to make new stuff. I find that if I just record 1 or 2 demos, right, so maybe spend a week on a song, that's the ideal amount of time. And that's when you get, because you have all the passion, it's when you feel it the most intensely. If you're trying to come back to a song that you wrote like a year ago, and you're trying to make it better or bigger, or your true vision, now that you see the true vision, you're not going to quite get there, because you don't have that same mindset anymore. Like with the song Communication that I talked about at the start of the video, it's a song that's about a topic that I don't resonate with anymore. And I had to go, and I looked at the vocal track for it, and I just thought, I don't quite like the vocal track here. So I redid the vocals for it. And I just thought, well, it just doesn't quite feel the same. I don't have the emotional resonance to this song anymore, to the actual message of the song, because I've moved on. I've moved to a different spot in life, and so this song is no longer relevant to what I'm actually doing. And yet I'm trying to force it to be something that it isn't, okay? It's a little song that just does its own thing, and I'm trying to turn it into something that it's not. It's like having a kid that is really into, I don't know, abseiling, right? And he would be a killer abseiler, right? But you're sat there like, no, you need to become an accountant. And you keep telling this kid, you need to become an accountant, you need to become an accountant, and you keep sending him to accounting school. And he comes back and he keeps failing the classes, and he keeps showing a lack of interest. And you're wondering, what's wrong with this kid? Well, it's obvious what's wrong with this kid. He doesn't want to do fucking accounting. He wants to be an abseiler, okay? And this song doesn't want to be your vision of it. It wants to be what it is, okay? It's like how if you drive a car, you have obviously control over the car, but say if you've got icy roads or if you've got some kind of, I don't know, weird situation, maybe your clutch is a little bit broken, right? In this metaphor, all of those things are, I suppose, a lack of skill or a lack of development as a creative, and you're not brilliant at actually establishing your vision and achieving it, right? It's better to just keep doing stuff, because as you do it, you're going to hone your craft and you're going to get better at achieving your vision. You'll get better at driving, and the better you get at driving, the faster you can go, and the better you can drive, and you'll be able to turn the corners more efficiently. You'll be able to drift. You might be able to do donuts around the ring. You know, you can do all sorts of stuff like that once you get the skill. And even once you have the skill, I mean, look at Tool, for instance. Tool spent 13 years making Fear Inoculum. Is it their best album? No. Some would argue it's their worst album, and they spent so long doing it. And it's like, Numa's a good song, 7 Empist is all right. The rest of them, I don't fucking remember anything about them. I genuinely don't remember what they were like, what they sounded like, because they obviously spent so long recording them again and again and again, developing them and trying to force these songs to be something that they're not, that they end up just being streamlined. And I think that's the only outcome that comes from trying to perfect something that doesn't want to be perfect. This song doesn't want to be perfect, and I'm trying to force it to be. I'm trying to force this song to be an accountant when it doesn't want to be. It wants to be something else. It wants to be what it wants to be. So I should allow the song to guide me, rather than me trying to take the song by the reins and drag it along kicking and screaming, because all that's going to happen then is I've got an unconsenting song in a genre that it doesn't want to be in, doing stuff that it doesn't want to do, and trying to be something that it isn't. And I think that with making a song, if you spend too long getting caught up in the small details of, you know, your true vision and trying super hard to just get that and only that, you're missing out on all the potential other avenues that song could have taken, right? And one of them is more likely going to be better than what you actually had in mind for it. Because I imagine when you start a song, you kind of imagine like a dun 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 dun. You got a little thing in your head, right? And that is what you put down onto the page, and then that's what you end up playing, and that's what you put into the DAW. And then you sit down and you listen to it, and it sounds a little bit similar. You know, the melody's vaguely alike, but maybe it's heavier than you thought it was going to be. Maybe it's more acoustic than you thought it was going to be. Maybe you thought it was going to work on guitar, but it turns out it needs to be done on a piano, right? Maybe it's just different from how you originally saw it, and that's okay. It's okay for it to be what it is, okay? Because each song is already out there technically, because there's only 12 keys, there's only a certain amount of modes, there's only so many ways of making the same thing, in terms of there's only so many songs that are out there in potential existence. There's a lot, obviously, but there's only a finite number of potential sounds and potential directions, right? And it's just up to you to pluck a particular song out and call it your own, right? Because it's come from your mind and you've found it in your own head, and you've put it down onto you know, a sheet of sheet music, or you've put it into a DAW, and you've managed to turn it into something real, and you've manifested this song that previously was just an idea amongst many other ideas. I mean, think of the amount of people that you've probably spoken to that have had an idea for a song, or an idea for an album, or an idea for a film, or whatever, and they never went and made it, right? But they had the idea, and so obviously the song technically doesn't exist, but the idea for it exists. And all they can do is craft it from an idea into something that's actually malleable and actually there and actually tangible, right? So you're trying to make this song, and the song is also trying to realize itself, and you should accept that as part of the process, rather than trying to force the song to be something that it isn't. Because at the end of the day, if the song doesn't want to be that, then it doesn't want to be that. And if you just sit and try and force it, it's going to come out mutated, and it's going to come out looking a bit weird. It's just not going to be right. It's the same way if that kid that wanted to be an abseiler ended up becoming an accountant. He's going to be miserable for the rest of his fucking life doing accounting. Right? He might, after 20 years, kind of get used to it and start going, right, okay, that's £4,000, right, yep, great. But he's going to be miserable throughout the rest of his life, because he's not what he wants to be. He's not what he, and same way with the song. If the song isn't what it wants to be, it's not going to be quite right, and it will never sound quite right. And you can sit there and try and force this song down every single fucking direction that you can think of, but you'll never quite get it quite the same as when the lightning was there and when you felt the passion for this song in the moment. So what I would say to you is, rather than sitting and worrying about perfecting one song, is just do the song and right, that's the song, I'm done. Close the book, okay? And then move on to the next one, because you're never gonna get that song to its original vision, and that's okay, because the song is what it is, and that's fine. You can always try and make your vision with another song, or another song, and just keep doing things that way. There's no end to the amount of songs you can do, right? Like, I was speaking to a mate who wanted to do some development on my song, The Girl on the Balcony, right? He wanted to turn it into something, and I really liked his vision for it. And he sort of said to me, you know, I was a little bit miffed actually when you kind of just announced that you were going to release the song. And I was like, okay, that's sort of fair enough, but there's nothing stopping us from just making your equivalent of the song, calling it something else, and that's going to be it. Because it's just a basic thing in C# minor. You can have many songs in C# minor. You could just try the idea again, but with a different twist on it. You know, you could resolve it on some other level. You could maybe put a breakdown in as opposed to some, like, I don't know, quaint little bridge. Or maybe you could have a different chorus, maybe some big anthemic thing as opposed to what you had before. You could try different things. You can maybe make it faster. You could make it in a different time signature. You could just play with the form. And that's totally fine, because you can make as many songs as you want, and there's no one out there to stop you. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up by just sort of saying, if you're trying to make a song at the moment and you've been working on it for a long time and it's really personal to you, so the fact that it's so personal means that you want to realize it to its fullest potential because it's such a personal thing to you. I think if you're going at it with that sort of intention, as I was with that song Communication, I think you're doing it wrong, and you're going to end up with a product that you're going to look back on and not be entirely happy with. You might look back at it and go, oh yeah, it's very well polished. You know, I clearly crafted it quite together and it's quite tight, but it doesn't feel like it's got soul anymore. It feels like I had to force it, and it shouldn't feel like you have to force it. Like, whenever I listen to, say, a Bob Dylan track, it never feels like I'm listening to someone struggle to make a song. He makes it seem so easy. And that's where the fascination sort of comes in, and that's how the songs are able to manifest and realize themselves. And also, a lot of songs from bands, right, that then go on to play live, they'll develop the song as it goes on. Like King Gizzard, for instance, have a song called Float Along, Fill Your Lungs, which was on their third album. It's the title track. And it's like a 7-minute kind of sitar, George Harrison-y kind of drone sort of thing. And it's really nice, right? And over the next 8-9 years since that song came out, they've turned it from that into like this prog metal kind of fucking crescendo driven thing, right? Now, if they went into making Float Along, Fill Your Lungs with that in mind, and they would only be happy with the song once it achieved that, I don't think they would have ever made it. And that version, if they managed to do that in 2013 when the song came out, it wouldn't have been as good, and it wouldn't have developed into the song that it is today, and it wouldn't have become what it wants to be. So I would sort of suggest that, because I can always go back to Communication. I don't want to, but I could always go back to Communication, play it live, and like develop the ideas and sort of add a little extra section or jam out various ideas on it and come up with new stuff, and then take those ideas and put it into a new song, and then so on and so forth. And that's a very good way of working, because you find new ideas from the moment, rather than sitting there with your ideas on a sheet of paper that's gone yellow from coffee stains and all this, that, and the other. That's like, there's pins on it from when you pinned it on various different walls, because it's been so long since you had this original idea that you have to remind yourself what the song even is and what it's about, that you're going to end up looking at the final product once you eventually finish it after possibly months or even years of struggling and letting it get on top of you. You're going to look at it and just be like, was all that effort worth it? Was it really worth it? Or was the first few demos of it, were they better? And I was just slowly sterilizing this thing over time. And that's the question I want to leave you with, is, are you sterilizing your product by constantly refining it, or are you just refining it and perfecting it and getting closer to your vision? Do you think that when do you spend a lot of time on something that correlates into a better quality product? Or do you sort of take my approach with it, where you should just throw as much stuff at the wall as possible, see what sticks, and then make your further things that you're going to throw at the wall out of that material that stuck. And then you're going to get more stuff that sticks to the wall, and eventually you've figured out exactly what sticks to the wall, and bam, you're hitting it like 90% of the time. Like that, whoosh, whoosh, and they're all sticking. So that's kind of the thing that I'd like to leave you on, is don't worry so much about trying to perfect this singular vision that you've kind of made really big in your mind, because you're never going to get there. And just the sooner you accept that, the sooner that you can move on and put whatever this song is behind you, because eventually it will just become this big weight on top of you that is just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, just getting you down, and it's sitting on top of you, and you're just like, get the fuck off me for a little bit, please. And once it's off you, it's brilliant, because it's like, it's a weight off my shoulders, and I don't think that's how you should release a piece of art. I think that you should be proud of it from that moment. And I was kind of sick of communication by the time that it came out. I just wasn't happy with it anymore, but I was like, I spent 2 years on this, and it's never going to get better than this. So that's kind of the end of the video, really. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, if you've made a song, tell me how long the longest that you spent working on a project was. And was that the best project that you made? So that's going to be the question, very concise question. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Have a great rest of the day, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.